You know how a lot of people grow their YouTube channel?
How?
Is they just start talking trash about a bunch of other pastors.
Okay.
There's a couple people out there on YouTube that their whole shtick is like playing a clip of some guy's message and then just ragging on him. What if we start doing that?
You know who I don't like?
Oh, I got nervous. She was really going to say it.
No.
Well, let's do the opposite. Let's find
be the kind people.
Let's find them, play their sermon clip, and be like, you know what? This person's the best.
Yeah. No. I think I like people, so I'm not usually good at. There's things that people I'm like, oh, I don't like that, but yeah, I don't want to talk bad.
The kingdom of God's built of a bunch of different personalities.
Correct. Everybody's different. Everybody has their way of doing it. In fact, everybody has their calling too. Like every pastor is called to different types of leadership. And so it's true. You are more aggressive in a good way.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not. We did not print shirts for our church that said that we're called to shut hell up.
Yeah,
what does the back say? I can't remember. This is like the mission of our church.
Oh, wait, there's a you can't read it because my chair has the back.
It says, we're a church committed to speaking truth in love and silencing the voice of the enemy and pursuing more. It's exactly who we are. We had shirts for a long time that said, shut up, devil. But then
we still have shut up, devil shirts.
Well, yeah, but then this last series, we were like, shut hell up. That's what we're called to do.
Shut hell up.
Yeah.
As a church, that's our mission because the devil is a liar.
He's a liar.
He lies to people. He lies to families. He lies to people's callings. The Bible says he's the father of all lies. Right. And so hell is lying to our world.
That's true.
And as a church, through truth, we're here to shut hell up.
Yeah, we are.
Now, we took out the.
Yeah, because...
Don't be putting in in shut hell up.
That's then when I struggle with cussing sometimes.
Yeah, Whitney be cussing. You cut Whitney off in traffic, she's cussing out her steering wheel.
I'm just trying to be a human and love Jesus at the same time. But hey.
Hey, you've been in this progressive sanctification thing long enough. You better deal with that crap.
That's really funny. But no, it's true. Like we all have different personalities. In fact, we've been trying to talk about rest like 100 times.
Yes.
And every time we try to talk about it because of the tug.
Is that what you want to talk about now? Are we going to talk about it more?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about it more. Why?
Okay.
You don't like to do it because what happens is, one, you're really good at like knowing you speak to an audience and you know that there's different audiences in the room. And so you're like, I know way too many lazy people, way too many people who are taking way too many breaks, trying to get to more, but they ain't really tugging on anything.
No.
Like,
I think I'm on an extreme. So if there's like a spectrum of hard, like driven and lazy, I'm on an unhealthy side of I work too hard.
Very driven.
And so we always look at people on the other end of the spectrum and don't like them as much. This is just how it is.
Well, because we just think, I know why you have a problem. You're all the way over there.
As we're connected to all these other churches and ministries and we're helping people break growth hurdles and things,
right.
The vast majority of them don't need to learn about rest. The vast majority of them need to learn about work ethic, motivation, drive, stick-to-itiveness.
That's true.
And so
I think you see culture as a society completely kind of going to this like me. I'm just going to take time for myself. And so your struggle is
we're turning into a nation of people that are apathetic. We just see problems and cry about them.
But don't actually
do anything.
Right.
Don't actually have the guts to go out and try to fix it,
right.
Other than just trying to burn the establishments down.
But this podcast,
where are we going? You get me out now. I'm starting to sweat.
I know. This podcast is two friends who do ministry together.
Yeah.
And we are talking about the tension, the struggle, the tug of being called to more.
Yes.
And where we are and where we want to be. And so we know that if you are a consistent follower of this, then it's likely you're a person who feels tugged.
For sure.
Into more. You feel a call. You feel like you want to pursue all that God has for you. And so when we do start doing that, it can be easy to go all the way to the one side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Work really hard.
Yeah.
Push really intensely. Continue to be highly aggressive in the things that we're pursuing.
Shut hell up.
And we have to find rest. Know the. Shut hell up. Know the.
Yeah.
And so
okay, so we'll do this one and we'll talk a little bit more about rest.
Okay.
For the people that are not good at resting.
Okay.
But then maybe we need to do another one somewhere about like work ethic.
We have to compensate.
I
get you.
Because there's just so many people that I think say they want to do something great for God, but then they show up to work at the church at like 9:45.
Right.
And then they go to lunch at like 11:30 and they get back to the church at like 2:15.
Right.
And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to go home at 4:20.
They're going to go.
And so they've only worked for 4 hours of the day, except then they're walking around the church offices and they're like talking to people.
Yep.
And then they're like, I wonder what's on YouTube. And they're like watching stupid videos on YouTube. And then they show at conferences and they're like, why, God, why would our church grow? Because you're not working hard.
Right. This is true. I'm glad you got your soundbite in. It's true. No, it's true.
Okay.
And so if that is who you are, you wouldn't fit very well at Living Church. But there are people who are struggling with finding rest and balance and finding, we talked recently about the pace in the race that God's called us to, because we are in a marathon, not a sprint. You and I committed 5 years ago that like, hey, we're in this for the long haul. We're doing this thing for God. Like, we're going to change a city. We're going to change a community. We're going to really push into all that God has for us. And so it's been a struggle for us because we keep trying to sprint in the marathon.
Yes.
And then we wonder...
Sprint the whole marathon.
The whole marathon. And then we wonder why about once a year we have like moments where we're feeling a little burnout.
Burned out, tired, exhausted.
Adrenal fatigue.
We talked about that in the last episode. And so for me, I was talking to a bunch of mentors and my counselor and my mom and dad and my friends about like, man, I am worn out. I don't want to quit.
Right.
I love God. I'm called to this. This is not like I'm about to step out of the ministry.
Right.
This is like, I feel like I no longer have the gas in my tank to do the thing I'm need to do. And so I realized that there's more than one different type of rest.
Right.
And so like for a lot of times I would just think that rest was, okay, I'm going to take off Saturday and I'm going to go lay on the couch and I'm going to rest. But that's only a tiny percentage of what rest is.
Right, because we've used the analogy of like you have to refill your tank if you're driving a lot, if you're driving somewhere. But you have to put the right kind of gas. You have a diesel truck and I have a SUV. And I put gas in my car and you put diesel in yours. But if we put the opposite in each other's car,
we would have all kind of problems.
We would screw it up. And so if we're putting gas in our tank, we have to put the right kind in.
Whitney, that was a great man illustration.
I did good.
Good job.
I've been working hard with some men for a long time, but it's true.
That was a good one. We have to put the right things in.
We have to put the right thing in. So we had to learn that because we were both struggling with like, I did rest, but I don't feel rested.
Yeah. This concept that I learned, man, has revolutionized my ability to rest.
Absolutely.
And so it's not something we made up.
No, we got it from our counselor.
It's something that we've learned.
We've learned. And so he got it from he got it from somewhere.
He got it from some book written.
1882 or something. I have no idea.
What if we would have said the same year?
I know that would have been. I almost said 1875.
Oh, I don't know. I just stopped talking because we interrupt each other too much.
You didn't pick it?
No.
Oh man.
So, so there's 7 different types of rest. That we all need to understand. So let me just read them.
And then
we'll talk about them. Physical rest, mental rest, sensory rest, creative rest, emotional rest, social rest, and spiritual rest.
Okay.
These are the 7 forms of rest that we can all lean into and understand. And for me, I was only really doing physical rest. I thought, okay, God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days and all the things. And then on the 7th day, he rested. And so like as a child, there's this picture painted to me in church about God like sitting in a hammock, right?
Yep.
God's like in a hammock on the 7th day drinking sweet tea. And that's in my mind how God rested.
Right.
And so that's what I needed to do. So I felt like resting was a reclined position doing nothing.
Right.
And so I kept on taking off Saturdays or even Friday afternoon or a time during the week.
Right.
And I would like turn on the television and I would lay on the couch and I would try to rest and I would be stressed the junk out.
Yep.
Because I'm wasting my time.
Right.
What am I doing right now?
Right.
I have to do this and this and this and this and then this. And it spooled me up worse.
Yeah. No, I remember.
Because I only understood physical rest.
No, I've shared before, like going on vacations are hard for me because I want to accomplish and see all the things.
Yeah.
And so it was when we one time went we went to Hawaii. It's beautiful. And I'm like panicking, like, what are we doing? We're just laying at the pool, like, and my husband's like, this is what we're doing. This is the rest. And like, there are times when your body needs to rest. This last week we had a giant event, and like I did not get in bed until really late every night. And so on Thursday morning, then after the event, we still had another meeting. And so this morning I did not get out of bed until 8:30, which is late for me.
For sure.
And but I needed it. I needed the physical sleep. So that's a real rest.
Sometimes physical rest is, I haven't went to the gym the last couple days.
Yeah.
Because I'm running so hard with this event.
Yeah.
And I'm not sleeping, that it's like, it's probably not going to be good for my body
healthy, right.
or for me to keep pushing physically
right.
when I'm already pushing all these other places.
Right. And so physical rest is probably the most what we think of when we think of rest.
Yeah.
And it is necessary.
Yeah.
So if you are a gamer and you're staying up till 3 a.m. and you're feeling like you're not winning in your life, you probably should go to bed earlier.
Go to sleep.
Like
physically
you
rest.
talked about it in your physical journey of health that you had to start setting bedtimes and not just alarm to wake up, but also an alarm to go to bed to tell yourself.
And it was a game changer.
It really is.
Because when I forced myself to put my phone down and turn the TV off and whatever, and actually go to bed, getting up for the gym was easy.
Yeah.
It was easy.
Yeah.
But because I was doing physical, I was doing physical rest.
And so it is important that we balance all of these pieces of rest. And so physical rest is important, but it's not the only type of rest.
Yeah. Okay, so physical rest is important. Second on the list, mental rest.
Mental rest.
Because I could be laying on the couch or laying on a beach and my body could be rested.
Right.
But my brain could be running 1 million miles an hour.
Right. No, there's so much. When you're tugging into more, when you're called to something great, there are so many things that are required and necessary for it to work that your brain is engaged a lot. It's engaged all the time.
Yeah. And so what I've learned for me to help me have real mental rest is to get the list out of my head.
Yes, this is good.
And so I my notes app in my phone, or I use what I call a dump page when I'm sermon writing or like brainstorming something. And so if I have a thought that I need to not be thinking about or like I'm trying to rest, I just write it down. Sometimes I'll text y'all. Just the other day, we have a text thread for the team that works on Tug of More. And if I have a idea of an episode, I literally just send the idea on that text thread so that I'll stop
thinking about it.
Like trying to not forget it. And because I'm trying to not forget it or trying to solve it, man, I just get it out of my head. So like keep a notepad by your bed with a pen.
No, I've had to in lots of seasons because I'll be like, oh yeah, I got to remember to tell them that tomorrow, or I got to do this thing. Oh, I forgot the piece. And then it'll just play in my head and I can't actually sleep. Write it down. Yeah. That's really good. For me, there's also like certain things I can't, if I'm trying to have some mental rest, there's certain podcasts I can't listen to.
Oh, that's good.
There's certain shows I can't watch. Doesn't mean I can't watch a show. Doesn't mean I can't. Some movies help me have mental rest.
Well, Whitney be watching all those people getting abducted and murdered and buried in the desert and stuff.
If you have a new crime podcast for me, put it in the comments.
No, it's stressing you out.
No, it doesn't stress me out. It doesn't. That's not what I'm talking about.
Oh, well, it should be what you're talking about.
No, that's actually one that chills my brain out because I can't solve that.
That's weird.
What
You're a psychopath.
happens is
that's weird.
No, you listen. I know you do. You listen to certain people that push you to more.
Yes, this is true.
And so you listen to those podcasts. When I need mental rest, I can't listen to those. Today, I was listening to a podcast about like a certain situation in a business, and they were talking about like the rise and fall of this circumstance. And I'm listening to it, and all of a sudden, my brain starts coming up with thoughts and ideas and plans of what we need to do and how we can help it and what we do. And like, so there's certain things that.
So you're saying because you listen to that, it's not related to what you do. It allows this mental part to shut off.
Yes.
And now you're just like
true crime is so.
You're watching a cartoon. It's watching a cartoon. It's just about people being murdered and hatcheted to death. That's not weird at all.
They're not all about murder. Some of them are about like heists.
Rape.
No, stop. No, they're not. They're about like heists and like different stealing. Anyway,
crime.
It's interesting.
Crime.
And it's interesting because I don't think like that. So it's just like, oh, that's interesting.
Be praying for Pastor Whitney.
Stop. Something that gets my brain engaged.
Yes. No, I
what
I
worked on, I have to turn it off if I want mental rest.
Yeah, I get it. There's TV shows that I like to watch. I don't think he does it anymore. Marcus Simonis had The Prophet, where he would like go into businesses and help it. Or even like the Chef Ramsay ones where
Yep.
he goes into
Yep.
kitchens and helps them. I've learned that I can't watch those to have mental rest because it makes me think
Right.
too much about what we're
Shark
doing.
Tank stresses me the junk out.
I enjoy it.
I love
but
it.
I'm not resting.
Because
I'm
I'm like,
engaged.
no, you should have done it like this. And then if you would have tried that, and oh man. And then I'm like, well, why haven't I come up with this thing?
Okay.
You know, but another part of it is conversations. So you and I, all the time, we are friends. Our spouses are friends. The four of us
We have a lot of
hang out a
crossover.
ton. And so, yeah, we have dynamics and crossover constantly. And we've had to set boundaries on certain, hey, tonight is just a date night, or tonight is just a hangout.
Yeah.
Because we will start working inevitably.
And your husband, Aaron, is the best at it.
Yeah.
Because if we're out at dinner and we start talking about an issue,
Yeah.
Aaron will literally say, y'all got 3 minutes.
Yes, he will.
He'll say to all four of us will be engaged in the dialogue
Right,
and the
we're all
conversation.
talking about it.
And he'll be like, guys, 3 minutes. We'll talk about this for 3 minutes
Yeah.
and then we're done. And he helps us put this boundary on what we're going to do and what we're not going to
Yeah.
do. So it doesn't just turn into our whole evening.
Right, because then our life turns into only work. And so
Yeah.
if this is a night to recharge, then let's just,
Yeah.
So I think those are some pieces
Yeah.
to have mental rest.
Another thing that's helped me have mental rest is trusting that when I do pick that area back up, that God's going to be with me to figure it out.
Absolutely.
Because if you're urgent,
Yeah.
if you have a problem with pace because you love doing what you're doing and you're running and you're being tugged towards more, you want to figure it out right then because it's important. But if we trust that, like, okay, if I don't think about this until next Thursday,
This is really good.
then I'm going to have all the rest and the aptitude and all the things that I need. I'm going to nail it then.
No.
So I've started to trust me tomorrow instead of having to do it today.
That's really good.
Helps me rest.
You said it a minute ago, you make the list. And there's been times where we're both like, we have so many things. And we look at the list, and we realize the list is not as big as we made it in our head. Like, it's shorter than we thought it was. It's
Yeah.
accomplishable. But
Yeah.
what you're saying is great, because there were seasons where we would let a staff circumstance,
Well, Let's talk about a real one right now. We want to redo our first-time guest class.
Correct.
We want to redo it.
Correct.
And right now, I could spit out, without any planning, 20 things that we need to fix in it.
Right.
But now's not the moment to do that.
can't do it.
But guess what? Neither is tonight after my kids are in bed.
Nope.
So, but I now trust that when you and I grab a whiteboard and we start banging it out,
Yep.
it's going to come.
Right.
It's there.
And
so I
there's-
don't need to do it right now. So I
Right.
I capture that thought and I make my mind rest.
No, it's really good. We've already determined that we're not even going to talk about it for a week and a half. And so
Right.
I think that's the other part is like mental rest. Okay, I can do it later. Sometimes for people like you and I, we do have to put a date to it.
This is okay. So it's not only make the list, but put a date.
Yeah.
Put a
So
date.
you and I just yesterday had a couple of things we really want to hit.
Yeah.
But we're going out of town next week and all the things. And so we said, okay, we will pick this back up
Yeah.
on August 10th.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything else on mental
I think
rest?
that's great.
So physical rest, mental rest. Next one, sensory rest.
Oh, man.
I had read about this and heard it and watched a couple, like there's a couple
Yeah.
TED Talks and things on these 7 different
Right.
types of rest. And so tried to figure it out, but I had never actually done it until I took my sabbatical. I went to the Redwood Forest up in California by myself
Yeah.
for 3 days. And while I was there, I made an intentional decision to not be listening to anything. So I'm in this little Airbnb cottage thing by myself for basically 3 days, quiet.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, it was an incredible reset
Yeah.
for me because I always have my AirPods in, always. I'm always on the phone talking. I'm always listening. Even if I have music, I'm at the gym
Right.
listening to heavy music.
Yep.
And so my senses are just like,
I think this is one that our whole world probably struggles with and don't even realize it.
it's because of this.
Yeah, we're so connected constantly.
Yeah.
And I find myself getting like aggressive when people call.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like, why are they calling me? It's not their fault. It's me.
Yeah.
I haven't had enough sensory
Yeah.
rest. And so I'm mad at the phone call intrusion, but it's really turn the junk off.
When this is kind of weird, but when I was 10 and had to go to the bathroom,
Mm-hmm. Right.
you go sit on the toilet. Guess what you did in there?
Nothing.
You're just
You went to the
quiet.
bathroom.
You're just you're just in there, just bored.
Yeah, you're
maybe
right.
you got a magazine on the back of the toilet, you know.
The Highlights magazine.
But like now, people. The other
Yeah.
day, I was at a coffee house waiting to go to the bathroom, And man, I saw that Joker 15 minutes because there's some kid in there playing a video. I hear it. He's playing a video game while he's taking a dump.
Right.
We can't even go to the bathroom and be quiet.
No, it's
I
true.
have a pop socket. We've talked about this before on the podcast. And I bought one of those sticky things and I put it up in my shower. So when I take a shower, don't hack my camera. When I take a shower, that's weird.
Don't hack
I hang this up in my shower.
Yep.
Above the water, so I'm listening to sermons or podcasts or things while I'm taking. I
have a cup that I put my phone in right outside my shower. It's like a little thing because it amplifies the sound.
So
it's real.
We need to have some sensory rest.
Yeah, it's really good. I think so. You read on the internet about like extroverted, introverted kind of thing, and you and I, people would say that we're extroverted because we're big personalities and loud. But I think whether you are extroverted or introvert, you have to recharge with some quiet.
Yeah.
And we don't like our own thoughts. And I think that's why we're afraid of it. But God can speak to us when we're quiet.
Okay, let's go there. I don't think maybe that is something that I do. What you're saying is there's some people that don't like the quietness in their mind because they're saying negative things.
Maybe there's negative things.
I don't love myself.
Maybe there's doubt. Maybe there's fear.
And so we don't want the silence of our mind, so we fill it up with noise.
Yeah.
First of all, that's a really sad place.
No, it is.
And so you need to listen to our emotional health one.
Yeah.
Because that means there's some stuff going on emotionally that is too loud.
Too loud. And I think there's been seasons in my life because my personality does like to be joyful and happy, doesn't like to be sad, that I've filled up with noise. But what I found is if I will be quiet, God can speak. He can fill the silence. And that brings so much rest, which is another part of rest that we'll get to in a minute. But the silence, the sensoriness doesn't allow for
a couple places I go for some sensory rest is I'll go float in the pool.
Yeah.
Like me and the kids, when the kids are in the pool, I am not having any sensory rest. But I'll go there. I've never done a sensory deprivation tank. I want to go do one.
Yeah.
It's like a saltwater pool.
Yeah.
It's dark and I don't
know.
I want to go and try one of those. I haven't done it before. Or I'll drive my Jeep.
Yeah.
And I'll just go and I'll just be out on the road and just drive and like it kind of washes away the day.
Yeah, I think moms that like care for their kids at home, we don't get a lot of sensory rest because our kids are mom, hey, this, that. And I remember in seasons like when they were finally quiet or maybe taking a nap, I would just go in like the laundry room and like the dryer was just silent and it helped me.
And it's sad, but it works.
It works
or, like
because
you have to do it.
I just needed but the input kept me from having rest.
It's really good. Okay. So physical, mental, sensory, creative.
Okay. This is a big one.
This is a big one that I had to learn. I'm still learning.
No, yeah. We're still learning as we're.
So I think all of us are creative.
Absolutely.
I think we're made in God's image.
Yep.
We're all creative, but I think that over time and age and life, we start to lose our creativity because we think we aren't, or because we think that someone who can paint, and because I can't paint, they're creative and I'm not. And I used to think that. I used to think I wasn't creative because I couldn't play an instrument or anything else. But then I finally realized, no, I'm super creative. It just comes out in a different way.
Right. We're built to create.
Yeah.
And so like we all four went and did a pottery class the other day.
Yeah.
And it was such a blast.
Yeah.
So like have fun and relax. But
and so if you're a person whose life is like you creating things.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
We're creating a conversation right now. I'm creating a message. You're creating meetings. We're creating things. You have to find a way to recharge that.
Absolutely.
That well. So like if I find myself preaching 6, 7, 8 weeks in a row.
Right.
By the 7th, 8th week, it's like I'm literally wringing my brain out for ideas to try to have a joke or illustration or a something.
Or content,
but then when I take a break, it just like
boom, boom.
It flows.
You said it before about like trusting that you'll have it when you need it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that sometimes with creativity we struggle of like, I've got this and I got to keep going and I'm only going to, if I don't keep going, I won't have it. No, you'll have it when you need it. Especially if you rest it like this, we don't film a whole season in one day.
No,
we couldn't. We would run out of conversation. We would run out of silly jokes. We would run out of just even fresh thoughts.
Yeah.
Because eventually your brain is like, I just need rest.
But for pastors, the only way you can do that
man.
is to give it to somebody else. Because one of the hardest things about ministry is there's a Sunday every 7 days.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a youth pastor, there's a Wednesday night every 7 days.
Yep.
And
if
so
you're
that
a
means
worship
that
leader, if you're Sunday school teacher,
if you're a content creator, like for
Yeah.
our team, they're pumping out videos and recaps and doing all of the graphics. And so in the church world, there's this like rhythm
Yep.
that's consistent. And if you don't build the team,
Right.
then you're the only one who's doing it.
Right.
And if you don't give it away,
Yeah.
if you
have
don't
to
give it away, because, and this is a tough one, man,
Yeah.
for me, because people will say, well, Pastor, we want, Pastor, you got to be in the pulpit.
Right.
Should we go there?
Yeah. Go there.
Pastor, you got to be in the pulpit. Where's the pastor? You know, why haven't you preached in X amount of weeks?
Well, yeah, I really, or they'll say crazy stuff like, I wish the way Pastor Truston preached in that series, he would preach in this.
Right.
They put so much expectation on you.
And I'm like, I'm not a robot.
We're not robots.
I'm not a creative robot.
Right.
And so like, I didn't preach for those 3 weeks leading up to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But that is what I really think that first night of SummerSlam is the best thing that I've ever done. Partially because it wasn't even me. We had a bunch of people give testimonies.
It was incredible.
But it was the fruit of the ministry.
I was going to say, your energy, your excitement, your anticipation,
Right.
all of that was so
But it's
free.
because
Right.
I hadn't been squeezing.
Right.
And so we give some other people opportunities
Yeah.
to grow in their gift.
Right.
And we have to give it away.
It's super important in all areas, in whatever we're leading and doing, that we train up other people so we can take the breaks.
Yeah.
There's so many people I know who are running businesses and they haven't gone on a vacation in like 3 years because they can't trust somebody else to just do it. And so creatively, you might be the one producing and doing, but even our team. So for the creative content of our team, they have now built a team, and there are so many of them building creative content, but it could be easy for the ones who are great. Bailey and Easton are like bosses of creativity, but they've learned to give it away, and we have so much more creative content as a church because they're willing to do it, and they have fresher ideas. They have bigger dreams now, bigger visions for things because other people are doing, and we have to do it.
And when we give it away, we've got to, it's not a competition.
Right.
So like, let's just use you and I.
Yeah.
If someone gave us a topic and said to write a message on this topic,
Right.
I've been doing it longer.
Yeah.
So if it were a competition, maybe more times I would have more stuff to say about it than maybe you would. This is not an assault and probably a bad illustration.
No, it's a great one. I was about to go off of it because I agree.
But if we view it as a contest,
Right.
then that means I have to do it every time.
Right.
But it's not a contest.
Well, and then it means that I'm insecure because I'm not going to measure up. It means that I'm not going to give my ideas. I'm going to try to be you.
Exactly.
So recently I preached a message on joy. You've preached some of the greatest content on joy ever in the history of the world. But my message on joy was a totally different perspective.
That I never would have pulled out.
Right.
It's not how I think.
We talked about it later and you were like, this is why we have to have multiple voices, multiple people. This is why we need men and women in ministry and in life together, because we have different perspective, and the creativity allows you to flow deeper, have the creative rest allows you to flow deeper in your things, and it allows creativity in other people to flow.
But if we refuse to give it away, the people around us can't get better. If Bailey and Easton edit every video, the 15-year-olds on their team and 30-year-olds on their team, they don't ever have the ability to get any better.
No.
And it gives them the ability to rest. Okay, we've got to have creative rest. Anything else on that one?
No, I just think I think that when you're tugging for more, you're definitely creating constantly. And so it's one that we think is not as important, but it is. And then another thing you and I have found is, because we are creative people doing creative things like the pottery, like that, there's other ways to still use your creativity, and it can actually help you. You can rest in it with our hands.
Yeah, because you're not just doing the same thing.
Right.
Go do something different that's still creative.
Yeah. Okay, go.
Physical, mental, sensory, creative, emotional rest.
Oh man, this one's hard.
I don't know, man. I think the only way you're going to really get emotional rest is to deal with the junk in a heavy way.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's going to be real painful at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional rest is only possible if it's dealt with. If you just brush the stuff under the rug and you don't talk to somebody about what's happening, or don't talk to God about what's happening,
right,
you can't. those inner demons are so loud. They won't go away
don't go
unless
away.
you deal with them.
Well, at the top, we talked about like shutting hell up.
Yeah.
The enemy only wants the lies to perpetuate and
Yeah.
the pain and the trauma and the things. And so our emotional health is a huge, if we're not emotionally healthy, I'm not sure we can have emotional rest.
Yeah.
And so we have to look and decide, I'm going to dig some stuff out. I'm going to dig deep in it. But then also, I'm going to, at least for me, like, this is a day that I'm dealing with the emotional things and all the pieces. And then I'm going to set it here and I'm going to trust that because I am digging it out, I'll come back to it tomorrow or I'll come back to it the next time I'm supposed to.
I know that that answer is 100% true.
Yeah.
What we just said. I also know it can feel a little discouraging.
Absolutely.
That if there's somebody who's really worn out, that's like, awesome.
Right.
So the only way to do it after I'm exhausted is to deal with it. Well, I think that we can emotionally rest even when there's turmoil inside.
Absolutely.
If we're strategic about it. Have you and Aaron ever been in a fight?
Yes.
And then...
Of course we have. We've been married almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you and Aaron ever been in a fight?
More, sorry.
And then said, like, can we just...
We got to stop.
Let's just stop.
Yeah.
Rach and I have for sure. Where it's just like this perpetual, like, like this thing that there's like a dark cloud over our home.
Yeah.
And
especially if it's late at night. We used to do the whole like, well, the Bible says don't let the sun go down on your anger. So we have to solve this before we go to bed. No, we still love each other.
Yeah.
We're just disagreeing. Let's
and
talk about it tomorrow.
I think that we have to take some emotional rest.
It's really
because
good.
Once you start emotionally redlining, you drive your car and you get the RPM gauge up real high, or you start to overheat.
Yep.
If your car starts to overheat, the only way to cool it down is to shut it off and pull over.
Right.
And so sometimes emotionally, we have to shut off and pull over.
Okay.
We have to have physical rest and spirit. We have to do some of these other things so that we can just calm the junk down.
Yeah.
Because some of us are just living overheating.
No, it's true. So the first caveat I want to make sure I say before we keep going, that does not mean leave, go to a hotel, sleep somewhere else, never leave your house. Don't ever do that junk. That's a mess.
All the time, man. I hear all the time that men get mad. They leave the house. They don't call. They don't say where they're going. And all that does is terrify your wife.
Right. Or turn your phone off and no, don't do all that.
No.
So stop fighting. Take a deep breath. But
go to the other room.
Separate rooms, not separate home places.
Because that's your home to guard and protect.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get mad and leave my house just so some dude can come and break in and kidnap my family.
Well, right. No, also that.
I'm saying this is your home to oversee.
No, right. And ladies, same. You've committed to be in this marriage. Don't leave it. Just take a deep breath.
Yeah.
But emotional rest, whether it's marriage or other relationships, what we do is an emotional job.
Very much so.
Because we are loving and helping other people in their journey of faith and relationship with Jesus and emotional health. And there's times that I have to arrest my emotions by not getting involved right then in that phone call or conversation.
Yeah.
There have been people who circumstances are blowing up. And so I love them and I'm there for them right then. But I've had to put boundaries on. I can't also meet with you on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. I can just say, okay, today my emotional health can only handle this many days or this meeting on this day.
Yeah.
And so we have to, as leaders, put boundaries on what we're pouring out to emotionally sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I think we can get out of balance of that. And that's where we get burnout too.
And we got to be aware of it.
Yeah.
So if you had a really emotional day or if we had a really emotional day, when I go home on that 10, 12 minute drive home, I need to be aware I'm emotionally spent.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I'll tell Rach, I'll be like, hey babe, man, this happened. I'm feeling a little on edge.
Yeah.
And then what she can know is let's have an easy night.
No, it's true.
Let's not have some giant talk.
Yeah.
If the kids start going crazy, she can swoop in and help.
No.
Or vice versa.
Right.
If she's had a really hard day, I can step in.
No, even to our staff
But that's about
team,
being self-aware.
It's true. Our staff team, I sent a text last night. Nothing was popping off in my house. In the week, there had been moments where I was emotionally and physically exhausted.
Yeah.
And I could feel the between us. And so I sent a message to our team. Hey guys, we've done incredible with all these events this week, but don't forget that we're exhausted. So if you start to feel on edge, it's because you're exhausted. So if you start to feel on edge, y'all, it's because you're exhausted.
This is what you sent yesterday to our whole staff at 7 p.m. Y'all, we did so good this week. A simple reminder, we're all worn out. If you feel short or snippy or easily frustrated today, have all the grace for yourself and others. We are all worn out, but we did great. The devil's trying to make you lose it with craziness of exhaustion. Love you all. So thankful for you. And like a bunch of our staff were like, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You were taking a moment to pastor our team and say like, hey,
yeah,
we're exhausted.
We're exhausted.
Let's remember that
Yeah.
and calm the junk down.
Yeah, I think that when we are in these emotionally exhausted moments,
Yeah.
for sure, we can start to respond and react in ways we normally wouldn't.
Yeah.
And so as leaders, as people tugging to more, the emotional rest is super important.
Yeah.
And I think we sometimes discount how important it is.
Yeah.
Because we think, oh, I'm resting. Oh, I'm taking a break. Oh, I'm not thinking about it. You might not be thinking it, but you might be feeling it.
Yeah.
And so you've got to take time to just understand it, see it, and then find where you can have emotional rest. You know, sometimes emotional rest comes from having coffee with a friend.
Yeah.
And being able to say, here's what I'm going through and here's
true.
where I'm at.
Yeah.
Having a counselor for you and I is so essential, of like getting all that junk out and dealing with it. So maybe even if you've dealt with all the deep, heavy stuff, you're still going to have consistent maintenance for
true.
emotional rest.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything
what's
else
next?
there?
No, I think it's good.
Next one, social rest. You touched on it a little bit there. Social rest. So I think that there's a couple different kind of two angles in my
Right.
mind when I see this.
Okay.
There's the social rest of angle one, be alone. Don't be around a bunch of people socially.
Right.
But then there's the like,
Those are
there's
really
some
good.
people that you're around that you rest with them. Like when the four of us are together, I
Yeah.
think that we're rested. When Aaron and Whitney come to Rachel and I's house, we do not run around and clean before they get there.
Right. No, right.
We don't clean.
No.
If there's junk out, there's junk out.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's easy.
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about those
Let's
two
go.
sides.
Yeah. Which one you want to do first?
I don't care.
So sometimes as leaders, we're leading people. Usually.
Always. If you're
Always.
a leader, you're leading people.
And
Unless you have like a dog
unless you're
pound.
leading, yeah. I was trying to think of something you'd be leading, not people. But in that, there's so many conversations. For me, I help lead our staff team. I meet with people one-on-one all week.
Yeah.
There are times that I am out of words. I'm out of smiles. I'm out of,
You're empty.
Yeah, I'm just empty. And I need silence. I need to not give to anyone. And even for my family, I've had to talk about my drive home from my job is like 4 minutes. And for a long time, I would just drive straight home. And I still do a lot of days. But if I've given socially a ton, relationally a ton in a day, I will do something else.
Yeah.
I will go to Target. I will go to TJ Maxx. I will go just somewhere and like give myself a minute to talk to nobody.
Go take a lap.
I just need to take a lap.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's just a lap and that's all you need. Sometimes you need a whole day. Sometimes you need a weekend
Yeah.
in the Redwoods.
Yeah.
To just recharge and be away from people.
Yeah. Just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop talking. Jesus did that.
No,
The
right.
crowds were always on Jesus.
Yeah.
And so like he would retreat
Yeah.
up onto a mountain or out into a boat.
Right.
I mean, he's literally on a boat in a storm sleeping.
Yeah.
Not because he's like so peaceful, because he's exhausted, man.
Right.
And so I think that we have to know that too. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we just need social distance.
Yeah.
And it's okay to tell people that you need that time.
Yeah.
Now, they might not receive it well.
No.
They
maybe
might not hear it, or they might get offended.
Yeah.
They might get upset that you're not responding within 30 seconds of their text
Right.
message or
No, but you said it. Like, we are really great friends and we socially rest together. It's true. But there have been times where either I've invited you or you and Rachel, or you guys have invited us, and one
No.
of us have had to say, you know what? We're just exhausted tonight.
yeah,
Let's not do it.
it was a while ago. There's like a big truck show that comes into Texas.
Oh, yeah.
This is a couple years ago, and I hadn't figured any of this out.
Yeah.
And so me and Aaron were going to go together.
Yeah.
But I was like having a hard time
Yeah.
with all the church transition stuff, and Titus was still a baby, I think.
Yeah.
And I just needed some quiet time. And I
Yeah.
texted Aaron. I was sad about it. But I was
Yeah.
like, hey, man, I think I'm just going to go by myself.
Yeah.
And I went, and then I felt bad that I dissed my friend. But like sometimes
Yeah.
you just need to be alone.
Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And so It's okay to do it. It's a boundary that sometimes you have to set, and you do have to tell. It would have been really sorry if you just bailed on him.
No, I explained all the
Right.
things, and then later I was like, I'm sorry, dude.
No, but at least you said it.
Yeah.
You do have to explain to your people, but it's up to them. I mean, he didn't get mad at you,
No.
but he could have, I guess.
Yeah.
It's up to how they respond, but you are allowed to do that.
Yeah.
So there's that one.
Okay, then the other side is the people who feed you.
Yeah.
So there are there are no neutral relationships.
This is important.
There are
We
no
haven't
neutral
talked about this
relationships.
before.
Relationships either give to you or take from you.
Yeah. Right.
And so you've got to have relationships that are giving.
And some do both.
Some do both in different
moments,
contexts.
different seasons, different dynamics. Yeah. But
But every conversation is either giving or taking.
right.
And so you've got to have a circle of people
Yeah.
that, like, when you're with them, they give to you.
Yeah. And I think that only comes from finding the right people. And you said it, like, you don't clean your house because
When y'all come.
yeah, when we come over and we don't clean our house because we've also not cleaned our lives up in front of each other either. Like, you've seen all the dirty, nasty,
Correct.
ugly of my life.
Yeah.
I've seen all of it of yours. And so because of that, we're now comfortable with each other in life. That takes time and work. And so there's those people who, like, are your people
Like, yeah.
that you can recharge with.
Who are the people that you're not on with?
Right.
So, like,
In our job as leaders, and most people who are tugging for more, there's moments where you have to be on.
yeah.
If you work in like a maybe a corporate environment or a government environment, or you have to be very political in the way you respond. I mean, Aaron is like this. He's a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
And his job, he's super always articulately correct, politically correct, all the words. And so in real life, he's kind of sometimes a mess, but it's because he's
No, not a mess.
like
he's
silly.
He's
like
silly. Yeah, he's
he acts goofy.
Yeah.
But it's because he so wears that filter on other days that then on another day where he's like super goofy, it's probably he needs some social rest.
Yeah.
Because he's been so politically serious
So,
for days.
who are the people in your life that you aren't fronting with?
Right. That's a great question. And if you don't have any of those people, then you better look at your own self and stop fronting so much.
You got to find some. Well, you just got to find some community. You got to take the time.
Right.
You got to build some friends. You got to tear some walls down.
Yeah.
And we've done episodes on, like, building
that.
friendship, and I don't
Yeah.
remember what they're all called.
Yeah. But I think it's important to find those people and then to keep it that way. So now, because we work together, we've had to fight to do that, right? In times, and go, hey, we're going to hang out. We're going to have fun. We're going to go do something fun, whether it's go on a vacation, whether it's go places. There's been seasons where we're all working so hard. We're about to go on a trip together again. And we've recognized that for even our friendship, the rest together rejuvenates the relationship and our lives.
Yeah.
It's important.
Because, like, we'll go on a trip and we'll schedule it.
Yeah.
We'll have times that we go and pray together.
Yeah.
We'll have times that we go and brainstorm, or we work on keys. That would be a good topic.
Yeah.
Where we work on, like, God, what do you want to do? Where we work on our values, where we talk about staffing issues. But then we're also just
People.
driving around or
Yeah.
eating some fajitas.
No, it's true.
Okay. Last
Good.
one.
Yep.
Spiritual rest.
Okay. This
Spiritual
is a big
rest.
deal.
Number 7, that we need to have spiritual rest. And if you're watching this and you're not in a relationship with God,
Yeah.
I would really suggest looking into that.
Right.
You see us here at the Tug of More, but I'd encourage you to go to livingchurch.com or Living Church's YouTube page and go and peruse through some of the content there from Sundays, and just see anything that clicks your interest that you're like, I wonder what they're talking about there, and go and listen to it, because really the whole thing is about Jesus.
Yeah.
So spiritual rest is not, for me anyways, is not yoga.
Right.
It's not
No, it's good.
putting crystals on a necklace. It's not.
Yeah. So for us, our spiritual rest is surrounded by Jesus, because we're both followers of Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important, it is an important definitive
Delineation. Well, the word spiritual can mean, like,
all kinds of things for all kinds of
I
people.
went to the redwood forest, but I wasn't hugging the trees out there.
No.
Like,
No.
I was in God's creation,
I was
and it
going
was
to say,
peaceful.
but it was a spiritual experience
It
for
was
you.
spiritual.
Because you understand who created it.
Yeah. It's not the tree that's amazing. It's the creator of the tree that's
Really
amazing.
good.
And so spiritual rest is unlike any of the other rests.
Yeah.
And it's more refreshing than any of the rests. While we were on sabbatical, I'm going to
It's okay. You can cry.
While we were on sabbatical, Rachel and I still went to church on Sunday, just not living church.
Right.
And it was so good
Yeah.
for me to go and worship God with nobody knowing who I was.
Yep.
With no expectation.
Responsibility.
Nobody's gonna hand me a microphone.
Right.
Nobody wants to, hey, Pastor, can I just get 5 minutes after service?
Right.
I'm literally just there, just me and God, and I had spiritual rest.
Yeah.
Even for SummerSlam, like this big revival services that we did, I was intentional to really worship, you know?
Yep. Not judge it, critique it, not think about how we could do it better, not look around to see what's going on.
Not be looking at my notes.
Right.
Nothing. I'm just going to go and sit in God's presence. Yeah. And that's like a rest that I don't even all the way know how to articulate.
No, it's super important. I think if church leaders are a part of this watching, you got to do it. Like we've talked about it, even for like our own families, the importance of reconnecting and hearing from God one-on-one is so important. And if you're in church, you do church. Like if you're in church leadership, you're doing church. And so, yes, while I'm receiving from the messages that I'm hearing, while you're even receiving from the messages you're giving, there's still no replacement for the spiritual rest that we can receive
100%.
from God. And so we're intentional. We go to conferences, and I think those are places that you can find some spiritual rest. I remember not long ago, we went to one and took some of our team, and Bailey was there with us, and the LED wall for their event crashed out. Everything was a mess. Like all the things were happening. And I text her like, isn't it nice to be somewhere and it's not up to you to fix it?
Yeah.
And like, so we do have to put ourselves in places where we can receive. For my kids, they serve in ministry, and like they just went to camp, and I told them like, your kid's here.
Yeah.
You're not working. You're not receive
Yeah.
what God has for you. And then daily we have to decide, like I have to decide between reading on my phone on Facebook, or am I going to read God's word for a minute and put some stuff back in my heart? It can be real easy, especially for those of us who are trying to get content, to start looking at our relationship with Jesus as you said
a resource.
A resource. That's
that my Bible becomes a prop.
Instead of the rule book of my life, instead of the thing that refreshes me, instead of the thing that helps recharge. And so I think for me, the spiritual rest, it's the most important one.
In the Bible, King Saul, he's the first king of Israel. He's this big, handsome man, the Bible says. And he had a lot of struggles in his life. And so he met this young guy named David, who is a harp player. And David, who we know later in the story, becomes the future king of Israel. He kills Goliath, all the things. But when they first met, David was just a harp player.
Yeah.
And David wrote the book of Psalms, which is a bunch of Psalms are songs. They're to worship to God.
Right.
And that Saul had like these demons, these like things, these thoughts that he just couldn't deal with until he met David. And David would come in with his harp and he would play music and sing these worship songs that he had written.
Yeah.
And it was the only thing that soothed Saul.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes to soothe the king in us, to soothe
That's really good.
the more in us, we have to worship something bigger.
It's true.
So like for me, you're gonna have a hard time getting me to bow down to you if you're a man.
Oh, right. No.
So like death had better be imminent.
Right.
But there's something for me as a man about positioning myself under the Almighty that lets me rest in his presence. The Bible says that we can run into God like he's a fortress, that he's our shield, that he's our protector. It says that he's like the mother hen who puts his wings over us. And when we would have that relationship with God, it would help us really rest. So I don't know all these others, you could work on all these others, the other 6, but if you're watching, you don't have a relationship with God, the God of the Bible, with Jesus, that I would really do some research. Is it real? Is it true?
Right.
Why are all these people giving their lives to this teaching?
No, it's true. And I think that in times when we feel worn out, that's where we can get the replenishment to keep going. We talk about like, we do a lot in our lives, and there's a lot of busyness and chaos, but it can be like, how do I keep going? Well, the grace that Jesus gives me to keep running the race he's called me to run, it only comes from reconnecting with him. And so, no, it's great. I think you and I have both met pastors who haven't taken a Sunday off in years.
Yeah.
We've both met leaders who haven't taken a break and just really spent time with Jesus. We've met people that really want more, but they're consuming ideas and there's really brilliant like leaders and teachers
There's
out there.
There's a book for every subject.
Yeah. But if we're not connected to the one true guy who will actually replenish us, eventually I think we're all going to burn out if we don't. I don't think any of the rest. And even there's times where I've struggled I know I need to have physical rest, or I know I need to have emotional rest, but I have to pray first.
Yeah.
In order to get there.
Yeah.
In order to have it. So it's good.
This is really good.
It's a good conversation.
What did we miss, audience? As you listen to these 7 different topics, what's an area that maybe we overlooked? What's an area that we need to still learn in?
Yeah.
I'm still a student of rest.
Absolutely.
I have not mastered this by any means. And so we're talking out from a position learning. And so like, help us learn how to rest.
Figuring it out.
If there's something that you ever want to add to the conversation, hit it in the comments.
Yeah.
Send us a message. Let us know how we can learn. Let us know how we can do better. Yeah. Because we're all called to something great. God created us with greatness in mind. But that's tiring because we live in these flesh bodies.
You know, I was thinking in the beginning, we talked about people who are kind of lazy, that aren't pushing into more, but maybe they didn't get one of these right somewhere along the way. And that's what's caused them to be so restless and now lazy. And so if you feel that way,
because they're broken, they're so exhausted, they broke. And so now all they know how to do is be lazy.
Maintaining. So
maybe, that's good. I should have some more grace.
It's true. But we have it for each other. But yeah, I think we all have to look at it. And let us know. Because I feel like we're still learning it and we're stumbling through it, but we're trying because we keep tugging. So y'all keep tugging, but let us know what's up.
Yeah. Love you guys.